Hi, it's T with Teaquilts, and today is Wednesday, June 17, 2020. It's about 3 minutes before 7 p.m. So we're just going to wait for people to come into the chat room. Trying to figure out where's my red fabric. Oh, it fell on the floor. Like I need my red fabric too. So we're just waiting a few minutes. I'll have to also pull this up on my phone. Just came in early so I can let people know that I'm here. Scoop that over a little bit. I got threads all over the place from making those pineapple blocks. These are for, I got pins here. I'm going to need them too. But I guess I can put them up. Okay. Been a long week. So welcome guys. I see you all coming in. I'm trying to pull you up on my cell. Flower Valley Quilt Guild meeting. That would have been tomorrow. But we're not doing that. We got notification today that our guild probably won't meet till September so far. And I find that very strange because September is about the time fall hits in and they're predicting that we're going to have a second wave. So it's going to be interesting to see if we even meet at all. So let's see. Dismiss. Gotta get to my page. Hold on, guys. It's at 7:01 right now. But I had to get you all on my phone. Okay, my whole power source has moved. I don't know how that happened. So I'm like, I'm trying to pull this and I don't have as much slack as I normally have. So we got Quilt Gal here. She was here at 6:35. Says hi T and everyone. 6:42. We've got Ellen Quilting Campbell. She says hello T and friends. Ellen Campbell's in the house, all the way from Indiana. Do anybody spray base their quilts for quilting? Large quilt, she's asking. Anyone started on their swap blocks yet? I need some ideas. I would love to make 3 quilts from my 52 blocks. Any ideas? June says hi T and everyone. I think I'm going to put green white striped sashing in mine. Can't wait to get them. until tomorrow. C-Rex says, hello, T and fellow quilters. There has to be compassion and empathy for all humans. Regina Connor says, hi, T. Hello, quilting friends. June, I decided to do red chicken wire fabric to cage in those blocks. Laughing out loud. Dee Dee is here. She says, I'm working on putting together my swap blocks, and it will be the size of a small state by the time I get them all connected. She says, thanks to everyone who contributed. Lots of fabrics new to me here. Sharice Fofi says, hello, everyone. Judy is here, says, hello, quilt gang. And Peggy O'Connor is here saying, good evening, T and T Quilters. Hope everyone is doing well. Judy says, hello, quilt gang. June Billing says, hi, T and everyone. Elizabeth Michelin is here. She says, hi from Labrador, Canada. Lisa Pegg says, hello, Miss T. Love my t-shirt and my gifts. Thank you. Hi, everyone. You're so welcome, Lisa. I'm glad you like your shirt as well. Remo says, good evening, T and T Quilters from Bowie, Maryland. Kim Burris is here. She says, hi, T and T Quilters. Nisama says, hey, T and everybody. Dee Dee says, I got one of those lock socks from Canada. I got Bob Marley. It's surprisingly comfortable. Yes, it is. And it's weird how it doesn't have a seam, because it's like, otherwise I can make them myself. But they must have something heat generated that connects the fibers into a tube when the fabric is made. So it's kind of weird, but they're not expensive. Hold on, my screen jumped. Hold on. Bonita Nance is here. She says, hello, Miss T and everyone. Leetta Bryant is here. Says, hi, T and T Quilters. And then we've got Vivian Calvi saying, hi, T. We got Susan Martin says, hello, Miss T and everyone. Sue here, smiling and waving from sunny Clearmount, Florida. Phyllis G says, hi, T and T Quilters. D says, can I turn up the volume on my end? I'm talking the same as I normally do. I don't know what else to do. I never turn the volume down on my iPad, but let me make sure. My volume's all the way up. So my volume is all the way up. Remo says, hit the thumbs up. Thank you so much for the reminder. And Kim is also saying the same thing. Maria says, hi, T and everybody. Hi, Maria. We got Mike here. He says, hey, pretty girl, love you. I'm here watching with your Abby. Hi, Mike. Carol Green says, hi, T and all. Linda is here, says, greetings from Space Coast, Florida. And Tucker is here, says, hey, how are we all doing? And Rima says, yes, I spray quilts all the time. I like free motion on my machine, and I do queen king size quilts. Okay. Let's see. Diane 57 is here saying hi. We've got Doris O here saying good evening, T and T Quilters. T, did you ever give your opinion on the wool mat you purchased? I haven't used it yet. I was originally thinking about cutting it, but you all don't want me to cut it. So now it's just sitting there. Let's see, who else? Angela Stringer is here, says, hey, T and Quilters. Mike says, I'm watching you for Kevin because he's flying now. Yeah, he chatted and told me he was flying. June says, Tucker, you got your quilt done? She's asking questions. Phyllis G is talking to Phyllis. Talking to Dee Dee, I'm sorry, telling her she's like that idea. Maddie Barnum is here, says, hi, T and everyone. Still getting my t-shirt. I hope there is one left for me. Any t-shirts can be ordered straight through my website if anybody is interested in t-shirts. Susan Martin is here, says volume is fine. Tucker says, yes, I did at June. What do you think? And then we've got Eric Oda is here. He's saying hello. Hi, Eric. It's just surprising. He's been in here the last couple of weeks. Cheryl Clute is here, says hello, T and everyone. Let's see. Teresa Davison is here, says hi T and all y'all. I'm having trouble hearing also. Volume is very low. And we've got Elaine Doucette here saying hello all. So I'm going to stop at Elaine. Well, Vicky Lemire now is here as well. I'm going to stop there, 7:07, because we got a long agenda. I got some stuff in the mail. One thing I do want to say up toward the top of the video is Rhonda Barlow mailed her blocks on June 3rd, which was, and they weren't slated to get here until Saturday, June 6th. But her blocks did come in. I've sent her an email. I'm just putting it in here so that she will know. I will check and see what she wants me to do with them. If she wants to swap with me, I'm willing to do that. But I just need to know what she wants me to do, so I didn't open her package up. Another thing that came in the mail, this is from Dee Dee, and she wants me to, she sent me batting because she wants me to quilt a quilt for her. She says, here is my rail fence quilt. It's going to look great hanging off your porch. So she's talking about when I normally do my monthly completion projects. That's what she's talking about. I asked her if it was okay to show you all. She said yes. So this is her backing fabric here. It's got, I don't know what that is. I thought it was turtles. Is this turtles? I don't know. It's some little critters. Look at that. Might be just a bug. I don't know. But it's also in this fabric in here. I see it already. But I just wanted to show you all her quilt. She sent it to me so that I can quilt it for her. And she did that. I did the video on that rail fence, the Jelly Roll rail fence quilt. That's what this is. So she wanted me to quilt it for her as well. So I'm just going to put a little bit up here. You all know you can't see the whole thing in here. But very vibrant. I love the Jelly Roll, and I love that she found backing fabric that was the same as in one of the Jelly Roll pieces. That's pretty cool. Most of the time, by the time I decide to use a Jelly Roll, all the fabric is gone because all I bought was just the Jelly Roll. So that's pretty cool. So I will put this back in here. She purchased her batting from Connecting Threads, and what she did was she had them just send it straight to me, which was a great idea, so she didn't have to pay for the shipping on that twice, or even if she had to pay at all. Just depends on how much you spend sometimes at Connecting Threads. And then I also got another package in the mail from Elaine Doucette. She just came in. She's out of Ontario. I think that's what this says, Ontario. And I'm just going to cut this open. These, I have Fisker scissors, but I bought these to be used as like my paper or cut whatever I need to have cut scissors. Oh wow, it's a pin cushion. Did she put anything in here? No, it's a pin cushion. Look like it's handmade. So she's got a felt bottom on it that will help make it so that it doesn't slide. And then on the front, she went across it with thread, her embroidery thread, and then got it going through a bead. That's pretty cool. Very nice. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I've said probably on some previous videos that I have like a huge pin cushion collection. It's on the red shelf in my long arm room. All of those are pin cushions. So this is pretty cool. Very nice. And it's got bows in the fabric. Just gorgeous. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm not going to put it back in the bag right now. I'll send you an email. I'll see if I got your email, and I'll send you an email. Thank you as well. This goes in this box. This is Dee Dee stuff. Now, we're going to, I'm just going to quickly, I'm going to ignore all comments except for welcoming new people in since 7:07. Because we've got a list of things I want to go through, and then I will start answering questions from there. People are saying that those are Tula Pink fabrics. That's Dee Dee. Remo knew it too. They said they love your quilt, Dee Dee. Nisima says she loves the colors. It's beautiful. Oh, great fabric on your reference. It's so bright and scrappy. Beautiful quilt from Ellen Campbell. So I'm not going to read all of them. Just trying to make sure I haven't missed any new people coming in. And I don't think anyone else has, unless it's down toward the bottom. I see Betty Harris is commenting. Wind Sprinter is here saying hello from Maryland. So very pretty. So we've got a big list of things to talk about today. I said last week when I had sent out all of the blocks from the block swap that I didn't want to discuss it until everyone had their blocks. Now this is going to be one of those controversial topics, which quilting is, you can do whatever you want anyway. And you know, in life you got to learn how to there are times when you're not going to agree with everything that's said, but sometimes you just got to go ahead and be part of the team anyway. It's kind of like when you're at work. You may not agree with the decision made, but you've got a part to do, so you go ahead and you do it. When we first talked about doing swaps, I didn't mention doing swaps because I am a person that has swapped for years. When we Yahoo Groups was kind of made for people that wanted to go into Yahoo Groups and learn about different quilting techniques. You had all kinds of subjects. You had people that would do swaps of fabric. You had groups that would do swaps of blocks. And I had a group that swapped quilt blocks. We also did round robin quilts. And from that, I have learned a lot about swaps. A lot of you had never participated in a swap when you signed up for this particular swap with Teaquilts. And so what I did was I gave very bare minimum of rules, because if you have never swapped before and you've never had any experiences, and if I had came out with this list of rules, and I'm about to tell you 10 things about swaps that I have here, and these are just general rules, and these rules will be amended depending on the type of swaps that you're going to be in. So I know that you already know that I'm no nonsense in a way. I hope a lot of you all know that. That doesn't mean that I'm not flexible. That doesn't mean that I'm not a team player. But for me doing years of swaps, and then I have, remember, I'm one person and I'm dealing with everybody that has participated in this particular swap. And I've learned that you've got to have some rules when you're dealing with that many people, because all of those people have their own different opinions about what they have sent and what they want to receive back. That doesn't mean that every swap that we do here is going to be real strict. Just like this swap wasn't strict as far as you could piece your crumb block. That's why we picked the crumb block. And then we had you put a 2-inch frame on it so that people could square that stuff up. So that when people got those blocks back, even if they weren't all the same size, you had a higher likelihood of your block being used, because we gave some parameters to make sure that your block, if it wasn't perfect, then it could still be used. So this wasn't one of those swaps where your blocks had to be 100% perfect. We just wanted you to make your block according to the rules, the instructions that we sent you, which were very lenient. We just basically asked that you don't use black fabric inside of the actual crumb block portion of your quilt. And we asked that you used a white piece of Kona cotton or a piece of white muslin. That were the only two fabrics that we said you could use to put your signatures on. So I wanted people to swap. And when I got the stuff that didn't kind of fit the program of what we had asked people to do, I went ahead and I sent everybody's blocks out anyway. And why did I do that? Because a lot of people had never swapped before. I wanted you to see, even if people, whether you cared if people followed particular rules or not, I wanted you to experience a swap where there weren't a whole lot of particular guidelines. Now, remember, as I said, it's one of me and it's all of you all. So I do get things sent to me in comments through my digital messaging about various things that have happened. I've even been on live and I've had people showing a block and people go, I thought we weren't supposed to use black on the inside. So just know that when I'm making these rules, that people that are following the rules are not happy when other people don't follow the rules. So you just got to be aware of that, okay? So I'm not here to kind of be a dictatorial, dictate what people should do. I'm here to tell you that if you join a swap, you should follow the swap rules or you don't participate at all. That's basically what I'm here to tell you. Now, what I'm about to give you is just general rules for swaps. It doesn't mean that these rules were all in place for the current swap that we just had. It doesn't mean that all of these rules will be in place for future swaps. But you can best believe that a whole lot of these rules you're going to see again if we should do another swap. So, it doesn't mean either that all of these rules were violated during this swap. We didn't have a whole lot of rules, and I did that on purpose because I wanted to see what I would receive from people, and we're just going to go from there. So, rule number one, I'm going to tell you what the numbers are because some of them I have a little bit more to say, and others I won't have as much to say other than what the rule is and a very short description of it. So sign up and commitment. Joining a swap, you must sign up by the deadline date. I'm not going to refer anything else to the swap that we just had. We had a deadline date for sign up, but then I opened that deadline, and that's all I'm going to say. Now, the rest of this, I'm just going to be doing generalities, and we're not going to even be talking about what just happened. So, but basically, you don't want to join a swap if you know that you can't follow through, or some people had already told me, even in the comments, that 50 blocks is a lot for them to make, and they couldn't make that commitment, even though we started this swap technically in July. It officially, not July, December of 2019. Officially, it was supposed to start January 1. But you all were so excited about getting started that Kevin jumped right on getting those instructions written for us. I added the final things that I needed to add as far as how for me to get your blocks back to you. And so technically you had kind of like mid-December through the end of May to get your blocks done. So if it's a high probability that you will not be able to make a full commitment, I'm telling people that you shouldn't sign up into swaps. The reason why is the other people that are in that swap is depending on you to follow through. So those people made 50 blocks. I had about 56 people that initially signed up. I received 39. So people are wanting to swap those blocks. Now, a lot of people say they're going to use them on the back of their quilts. The blocks that they got back that they made themselves, they're just going to put them on the back of their quilts. But, when people are making that many blocks, that's a big commitment for them as well, and they follow through. So if you're going to join a swap, just make sure that you take on the full commitment of joining that swap. Number two is the type of block and or round robin. Sometimes a block swap, you're exchanging blocks. It could be a particular type of block. It could be a piece block, applique, or a paper piece block. It could be a specific technique. It could be something where they're wanting you to do embellishments. So you just make sure when you're getting into a swap that you fully understand what it is that you need to do for that block. And that all depends upon what the rules are for that particular swap. Number three is the construction and size of your block or round robin, if you want to put it that. But I'm just going to basically be going with the block today. Follow the instructions provided and make the blocks in the size intended. Do not send blocks where you made them in a different size. For example, if the swap says we need to have 9-inch finished blocks, meaning that they're 9.5-inch unfinished, then don't send 6-inch finished blocks. Send what they actually asked of you to send. If using applique, it should be stitched down either by hand or machine. no open edges. And that should be stated if the blocks has the potential for having applique in it. It doesn't mean that everything that you swap in, that would be a requirement. Sometimes people don't want people to stitch the edges down because they want to stitch them down themselves when they receive it so that they all match. If you're having paper piece blocks, I recommend leaving the paper on the back of paper piecing blocks, because then it gives the other people the edge that they can sew on, and they can tear it off as they combine that block with another block or a sashing or whatever. And the reasoning is because paper piece blocks, most of them are not on the straight of grain. So if you pull the paper off of an actual piece block, not like a string block or anything, I'm talking about an actual piece block. Say it's a heart block that was paper piece, you're going to have all kind of bias edges, and so you definitely do not want to pull the paper off, because that block's going to stretch out. As I'm handling it, you're handling it, it's being mailed, and then it's got to get back to them, and then they're going to handle it. So it's just easier to keep the paper on, because the paper keeps the block square. Embellishments, if it's a block where you've got embellishments or embellishments are required, sometimes I would tell people to not put the embellishments on the quilt, because you can't quilt with embellishments on. I would tell them to put it into a bag and then put a note telling them where the embellishments go. If you are required to put them on there, make sure that they're securely fastened with thread, not with any kind of fabric glue. Don't use paint pens. Always use a permanent black fabric marking pen. And also do not use invisible thread. So we're still under construction. And one thing under construction is I do recommend that people start your blocks right away. Even if you don't start sewing, start getting your fabrics together. Start figuring out what your plan is. Start pre-cutting. Never wait till the last minute to start your projects, because Murphy Law will come into effect, which is if something can happen, it will. And that did happen to a couple of people that, you know, they had to make some different arrangements or had to pay some extra shipping at the end because things happened in their life that were out of their control at the last week of the swap. So try to pre-plan getting your projects done early. Even if you don't send it in early, start planning and getting things set aside if you know that you are working on a block swap. And then this is one that's going to be the iffy one. It just depends on the type of swap you're in. If you're unsure of your workmanship, if you're making a 9-inch finished block and you just can't get the block sized right, you can always send in one block to the hostess, whoever is hosting the swap, and then they can help you figure out why your block isn't coming out right. Don't go to somebody else and ask them, especially if you want that hostess to accept your blocks. Now, sometimes it's not required that your blocks be completely perfect. It just depends on the particular type of swap you're in. Now we're on number 3. We want to talk about fabrics. Use good quality fabrics. And I say good quality fabrics. I try to keep quilt shop out of it because I know, number 1, everybody cannot afford quilt shop quality fabric. Number 2, not all fabric has to come from a quilt shop to be quality. I can go to Walmart and I can get fabric that's poor quality, and then I can also get fabric from Walmart that's good quality. You're going to have to learn. If you don't know what a good quality fabric is, then maybe you need to go to a quilt shop and shop for some fabrics, as compared to just shopping at Walmart if you feel like you don't know the difference. But I'm telling you that you can find some great fabrics in Walmart. I used to buy a whole lot of my fabric out of Walmart that was pretty good quality, and I still got quilts where I've washed them and used them seasonally, and that fabric is still good. And that's why I never say quilt shop quality fabric. I just want you to use a good quality fabric. What does that mean? It means I want your fabric to be 100% cotton. That means I don't want any polyester, don't want any polyester mix. I don't want any specialty fabrics, like unless it's one of the embellishments or something that was agreed upon, like something that's gonna fray, like linen is a specialty fabric, organza is a specialty fabric. And you definitely don't want to use any fabrics that you can see through. Very thin fabrics are not a good idea, because that thin fabric is going to wear in that quilt as somebody washed that quilt, and it's just going to end up being this big hole, or big, you're just going to see the batting up under that piece of fabric, because it's going to wear a whole lot differently, because it is a thin fabric. So there are certain things in fabrics that you need to pay attention to. If the block is requesting a particular type of fabric, like if they're saying white Kona cotton or muslin, that's what they mean. They don't mean any other fabric in that neighborhood. It's either white Kona cotton or it's a white muslin. And I didn't even say it had to be high quality muslin, but you need to make sure whatever fabric it is that they're telling you, that that's what you use. If they say batiks only, you only want to use batiks. You don't want to use fabrics that look like a batik. If that fabric don't look the same on the front and back, and you have a difficult time determining which is the front and back, then you shouldn't use it. That's what true batiks are. And they do have a term that us quilters call cheap batiks, and we're not talking about using cheap batiks. Those you can definitely tell easily what's the front and the back. If they say use a certain color or do not use a certain color, then you should follow those instructions as well. Now this one is a little bit more. Let's see. I have to turn over. We're still on fabrics. Some people have allergens that could be health concerns. So make sure that your fabrics are as odor free as possible. I know all fabrics have some form of an odor, and I see all these comments coming through, and I'm not gonna have time to read all those comments. So if you want me to read your comment when I'm done, please just wait till I'm done, and then we can go through the comments at the end, because I'll be here till 9 o'clock, because I'm seeing these comments rolling up. So give me time, and then when I tell you I'm ready for them, you can go ahead and start putting your comments in. But ensure that they're as odor free as possible, meaning some people smoke, some people have pets, some people may have mold or mildew depending on where you're sewing, and we all have some form of odors in our home and our fabrics. And most odors are not like super offensive, but sometimes somebody might be allergic to smoke, somebody might be allergic to pets. So I'm asking for you to provide clean fabric when you are working with swaps. It makes a big difference. And also, I had to personally purchase Lysol for like about 2 or 3 of my packages. It worked. I had some people that smoke. People smoke. I understand that, so I didn't even relate that. But the reason why I was spraying with Lysol anyway was because we were in a pandemic. So when I sprayed Lysol, that tended to help the majority of my packages. Okay, so I can work with some things, and other things I can't work with. Number of blocks. If they tell you what the minimum number is, please send the minimum, at least the minimum. If you want to send more blocks, you always can send more blocks, just in case more people sign up than had intended, and then that way you can be sure that you're going to get a block from everybody. Sometimes that may mean if everybody participates and a few extra people participate as well that didn't sign up, they just sent them in anyway, but they met all the criteria, then I will swap their blocks, and you may not get one of your own blocks back. But I'd rather you have a block from somebody else. You can always make another block that you made yourself. So make sure you always send in the minimum number. And the deadlines. Block are due in my hands by the deadline. No exceptions normally. I made exception because I knew the date that Kevin and I were going to meet. So I went ahead and extended it just long as I receive your block by Wednesday. So sometimes the exceptions can be broken. But normally if you have a deadline, you need to make sure that your blocks are in by the deadline. When I get those, then the blocks will be swapped 1 for 1 within a week. I don't want to make people that sent their blocks in on time wait for somebody else's blocks who didn't send theirs in on time. When I make a date and say that we're going to swap them on this date, then that's the date that they're going to be swapped, because I got so much time that I'm trying to make sure that I get your blocks back to you. You wouldn't believe how many swaps I've heard people participated in and the hostess never sent them their blocks back. You would be some upset people if you sent me 50 blocks and I didn't send you 50 blocks back. That just wouldn't be right at all. So I'm one of those people. I try to be efficient whenever I'm organizing something. I try to let people know what my game plan is up front, so you're not worried about what's happening with my stuff. And I like to get people stuff back out in a week if I can. I cleared my schedule so that I could get that done because I wanted people to get their blocks back. Block identification. Anytime you're in a swap, you should always put on the back of your block your name, your city, state, and an email address. The reason why I say that is because somebody may get a block from you and you may have a fabric in it sometimes, and they may, oh, I like this fabric, I want to know what it is. Maybe she got some more, or they just want to thank you for providing them such a fantastic block. So they got that information so that they can contact you. This time, I did not make that stipulation. Because we wrote our name and city on our block, and I didn't ask for you to make your email public to the people in the swap. But that's why sometimes people would ask for your email and information to be put on the back of the block. Now, when I say put on the back of the block, that doesn't mean for you to write it on the back of the block. It means for you to attach a piece of paper, a removable sticker label, or something like that with your information on it. And that's just so that people, if they want to personally thank you for a block, something you did really above and beyond, then they've got that information to do that. Also, when you're part of that is packing up your blocks, I do recommend that people use some form of plastic. All of the blocks this time tended to come in really well, even though some of them were not in plastic. I normally use like Ziploc bags to put my blocks in, either a 1 gallon or a 2 gallon, depending on the size. But the post office did very well this time delivering blocks, and none of them got wet. But just keep in mind that sometimes if you have a postal box and if it's raining, the postal carriers, they're walking in the rain, so it's potential for your packages to get wet. And some of the bags were paper bags too, so you got some potential for your packages to get wet. So I always put my items into a Ziploc bag, and then I also take that and send that right back to you. You put your name on it, how many blocks are in the bag, and then I take it and send that back to you when it's time to send your blocks back. Now we're at, that was number 7. Number 8 is mailing and postage. Now, please note that this may change in the future, swaps. And the reason why is, I'll talk about this more in a moment, but usually participants, they send in a self-addressed stamped envelope with their blocks. And what I do is, when you put that inside, you put the same amount of postage in that you use to send your blocks to me. And then I use that to send all of the information back to you. And that has really worked well for me in previous years, but for some reason this year, it was a problem. I get up to the counter, the clerks were weighing and measuring the bags, and then I had to pay extra postage on some, not all, and it wasn't even a lot on most of them. It was like under $1 for some of them that I had to pay. It was maybe, I'm just going to guess and say maybe 6 or 7 out of 39. And then because of the pandemic, that made me be in there for an hour while they were doing all this measuring and weighing. And I think in the future, it might be easier just for me to sit down at home and do the measuring and weighing. And then when I send out myself, all they do is scan. So they could have scanned those bags in easily had I done all the measuring and weighing at home. So I'm going to talk about those changes. But also, when I say self-addressed stamped envelope, I'm not talking about metered mail. Most times when you're at the post office and they put one of those metered things on your package, that's only to be shipped within the next 2 to 3 days. If you're sending it to a swap and we don't swap for 3 or 4 months from now, that meter label is not going to work. Now, with that being said, the postal clerk and myself, I received one from one person they wouldn't take. This other person found some back web postal place that took it through PayPal, even though she didn't go to PayPal. And they found a way to print her labels, and the post office took her labels. There was no restriction on them. So I have absolutely no idea what that was. The postal clerk didn't know how they done it. And so it was just a little weird that it worked for this one person and didn't work for the other person. Now let's talk about why I may change this in the future. In the future, I may just request a certain fee for sending people's blocks back. Like this time, I think the most postage that I spent was like $16 and some change. And then if you're adding in me having to get bags and labels and all of that kind of stuff, I would have said probably estimating like $20 fee for people to get their blocks returned with me shipping them. And the reason why I say that is because I spent so much time in the post office. And I think I went to the post office every day from Saturday through Wednesday. And I was in there an hour. And that was not my traveling time to and from the post office. That wasn't me packing the stuff at home to get it ready. I had all my stuff in order, ready to go. And I was still in that post office for an hour. It made absolutely no sense. Sometimes the clerk didn't know. When you buy stamps from other areas, you got different photos or pictures on them, and then they didn't know how much those stamps were. So then they was asking other clerks how much these stamps are. It was a mess. It was a mess. I had never seen anything like this, and it could just be my post office. You know, I do recognize that as well. So, it was weird. So and then if I do, like I say, charge a fee, that fee will be used to cover postage and supplies for me to mail all of your packages. And then that way I can just run everything through PayPal. I can get everybody's stuff done. I sometimes find that the post office charge just a little bit more sometimes than me sending something through PayPal. So I just prefer to just send them out maybe in the future if we ever do another swap. Number 9, follow up. When I asked you all to send packages to me, I wanted to make sure I had everybody's email address. And I'd say 98% of you all probably did it. I'd say probably 1 or 2. And one of them was my friend who lives locally. She never follows the rules. So, but she dropped her stuff off and I already knew her email address. But whenever I receive somebody's packages, I like to let you know that I got your packages, because there's nothing worse than waiting to the deadline. Say you sent your stuff in 2 months earlier, you never heard that that I received them, and then now it's the deadline and I'm contacting you saying I haven't received your blocks. Are you still planning to participate? And at that point you're like, well, I sent my blocks 2 months ago. Well, if you kind of let me know, or if you don't hear from me, if you don't have to let me know that you sent your blocks, but it would be nice if you let the hostess know that you sent your blocks. Then that way they could be looking for them. And then if they don't come within 2 or 3 days after they should come, I'm notifying you saying, hey, can you check the tracking on your blocks because I haven't received them yet? Because otherwise I'm wasting my time by going to the post office every day, especially if you're not going to continue in the swap. It's nice to know if you're going to continue in the swap or not. But if you tell me you mail your blocks, I'm going to go to that post office every day because I'm here for you. If I'm organizing something, that's just how I am. I'm thorough. I want to make sure. So if you tell me you're doing something, I believe that you have done that. And so then my actions start reacting to the fact that you've done that. If you haven't done that, you're wasting my time when I've got other people in a swap that have done what they needed to do. And, you know, so those are some considerations to think about. And then number 10, the final rule, and it's the most important. It is follow the rules of a swap. If you're not going to follow the rules of the swap, do not participate in the swap. Don't waste the hostess time. Don't waste the postal people's time. Don't waste your time. Because if you don't follow the rules of the swap, your blocks have a high possibility of not being swapped. Okay, but I let everything go into the swap that we just currently did because a lot of people had never swapped blocks before. So I'm going to end it right there, but I'm going to end on something positive, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to read your comments. So let's see, what time is it? As I said, I'm not gonna read any comments. I'm gonna start reading comments at 7:43. So if you want me to read your comment and you already posted something up, then go ahead and post now while I'm gonna be showing you some round robins. I only got one round robin. I'm gonna show you some blocks that I participated in just to show you something pretty at the end of a lecture. But you gotta remember, when you're dealing with a swap, you're not just dealing with me, you're dealing with everybody that's in a swap, and everybody is not gung-ho about getting fabric that's polyester or that didn't follow the actual rules of the swap. So that's why when I make a swap and I make rules, if your blocks don't adhere to the rules, then I will not swap your blocks in the future. I swapped everything this time though. This is a round robin quilt. I have shown you all round robin quilts before, but I just wanted to show you that this is one that we did in our group where I made this center up to here. Most times when you do a round robin, they'll tell you to make your center no bigger than a certain size. So if your center is bigger than it should be, the people that are working on your quilt has the right not to work on it because you have violated the first rule of the swap. So just be careful when you're dealing with stuff that you follow the rules. On this swap, we sent it to 3 people. So I did the center. Somebody else did this tulip border. And then somebody put the, I'm blocking the name of this, piano key with the pinwheels in the corner. And then the last person who got this put this green stripe on it, and then she made these piece tulip blocks in the final one. So this was one of those that we only sent it to 3 people because we didn't want the round robins to get super big. Just think, if you start with a 15-inch center round robin and then everybody puts on a 6-inch border, so that'll be 12 inches. Round robins can get big really, really fast. So I try not to send a round robin to more than 5 people at max, because that would probably end up with some people getting a bed quilt. It just depends on the width of the border. Okay, I know the comments are coming in. I'm going to show you one where we did some blocks. This one was, we had to do a flower block, and it could be pieced, applique, or paper piece. It could be any style you wanted. So I took my blocks and I put them together in this setting, and it's a huge quilt. It's probably upside down. Hold on. And then when we did this swap, I'm just showing you some of the blocks. I actually made this block and this one here. When we did this swap, we had about 12 people that signed up, but we wanted to swap more than 12 blocks. So what we did was said, if you want to swap more than one block, then make like 5 or 6 of each type of block. And then that way, you know, you could do more than one block, and then we could get bigger quilts. So I know you're not going to be able to see all of this, but I just wanted you to see what you can get when you do block swaps and you do them right. So she made this block, this basket, and I took it and put it on point in the center of my quilt. So yeah, I just haven't gotten this one quilted yet. It's in my to-do pile. And then I'm going to show you one last one where we did house block swaps. And what we did was we said you had to have 2 embellishments on. Now, if your embellishments were hard, like an embellishment could have been like decorative stitching. That's an embellishment. If your embellishment was a hard embellishment, we asked you not to put it on the quilt, to actually put it in a plastic bag and attach it to your quilt with a safety pin. And also, when you're sending stuff in the mail and you're using pins, do make sure that you're using safety pins and not straight pins. So this swap, and I'm not going to be able to show you all of this either. Look like I don't know if it was a block here or not. I don't know. But we did house block swaps, and this one we did building. So everybody had a particular building. So we've got like the barn, a Victorian home, got the quilt shop, general store, ice cream store. We've got the pet store, a church, schoolhouse, and lighthouse. I can't tell what this one is right here. Oh, it's an igloo. And this one is the jailhouse. And I forgot what this one is. I'm blocking right now. It came from another country. Let's see if it's on the paper. It's a Dundee. That's what this is a Dundee. So I just wanted to show you all, like, you know, doing swaps is a wonderful thing if you've got a good group of people that are willing to do the right thing when they get into swaps. You can have a wonderful swap, make some nice quilts, and I've got other stuff. I just couldn't pull them out. I've been so busy that I haven't had time to pull stuff out, so I just pulled out some of the stuff that the one quilt was hanging on the wall around Robin, and these two were in my storage cabinet in my long arm room because I want to get those completed. So that's why those were out. But I just wanted to end with something positive. Now I'm going to 748, and I'm going to start reading comments from there. So if you want me to read your comments that you put up earlier, you can go ahead and start putting them into the chat, because there's no way I can go all the way back up to the top and read all the comments, and we're already at 51 minutes into this. All right. Eric says, my house on there too. No, we don't have a hut. No, what do you call your houses in Hawaii? You got Helen Thomas. She says, hello, Teaquilt family. Hi, Helen. And Peggy also, I'm going to go back. You all don't have any comments now. You can just cut and paste what you put up at the top. I just don't want to go all the way back up because I've been talking for a long time. He said houses, but what kind? Like they called them Dundees in, I think it was Australia. I do see Peggy's comment because it's at the top of my screen. She says, I said earlier, a fee to join is a great idea. Also, United States Postal Service has flat rate envelopes and boxes that are one price regardless of weight. And some of their envelopes you have to pay for, and then their boxes are flat rate. But sometimes the boxes are more expensive than if I just put your stuff into a mailer bag and send it. That's why most of the time I send my t-shirts, I just make my mailer bags fit around my t-shirt, because it will go a lot cheaper than putting it into a flat rate priority package. They are inadvertently charging you for that packaging. Unless you're one of those people that know how to pack something a whole lot into a little bitty something. Uh-oh, I just lost my comments, guys. You all know what that means when that normally happens. I'm going to close everything, and hopefully it'll let me back in without me rebooting. Nope. There's no need of even wasting time. I'm just going to go ahead and do a restart. But, like I said, I've hosted so many swaps, and so I'm real experienced with swaps. I know the pros and cons of doing swaps, especially when you are one of the people that have very good blocks. You know, I've been quilting for a long time, so I would consider myself to have very good blocks. When you got people some people will join a swap just to get good blocks from other people because they know that their blocks aren't up to par. You'd be surprised at what goes on in a swap. But I have always said, you know, when I make stuff and I try to make it so that it's beginner friendly, I don't like to exclude people from swaps just because you started quilting. And that's why I like to do a lot of stuff with the strings and the crumbs, because they're more forgiving than if I'm having you make a 5440 or fight block with all those half square triangles, you know. So I'm trying to get back into YouTube. Okay. Hold on. Shaquita says, hey T, love the round robin quilt. Thank you so much, Shaquita. Eric says, well, foreigners calls them grass shacks. Okay. That's what I was thinking, but I didn't know the real name of it. Dee Dee says, good idea to just set money to send it back. And it would mean that I'm not at the post office an hour, and I'm already working with your packages because I've got to get them into envelopes. I got to use tape to seal, because I don't trust the envelope stuff. I've seen some horrible mail get delivered to me, and I'm a person that when you all got some of your packages for me, if I had a suspect that the stuff wasn't gonna work, I start adding tape on the stuff. So, and it was one time the lady asked me did I have tape, and I had left the tape at home, so I couldn't even tape one of them up. But I was really trying to make sure that people's items get to them safely. I don't care how the outside of your package look. I want to make sure that you get your stuff on the inside and nothing falls out, because packages get open. I see people, sometimes I get stuff from the post office, and then they'll put it into another mailer, and they'll put a note in there saying that your package came open and we repackaged your order. Was if you're ordering something, you don't even know if you got everything you were supposed to get, because your package came open. Dee Dee says, it is disrespectful to the organizer and other participants not to follow the rules as presented. And that was some of the comments that I personally got in my emails. And I'm not sharing any information that I got from other people with you all in this, but that's what happens. Is the hostess is the one that kind of gets all the information that went wrong in a swap. And I purposely let it all happen this time because I wanted people to experience what happens in a swap. I wanted them to see stuff that you would get from other people, just so you would know what you're getting. You know, some people will follow the rules and some people won't. Like I said, I only had 2 rules. That was Kona cotton for the, well, we had limited number of rules. We had Kona cotton or muslin for white, use a fabric marking pen, which we can't really tell until we wash, and then use a solid black or black tone on tone, which most people followed that. And our other rule was just the block size, and don't use black as your background fabric inside of the actual crumb block. So for the most part, people did follow it, but you all were even talking about the blackened blocks when I was showing it. I don't know why my screen is dark. But yeah, but I'm the one that gets all the comments and stuff about what happened in a swap. Helen Thomas says, just joined, love the quilt I saw. Thank you so much, Helen. Tricia says, hello everyone. The block swap quilts that you showed us are really pretty. I have never done a block swap. Tucker says, I just wanted to say that there was nothing wrong with my blocks at all. Also, I just wanted to thank T for organizing this amazing block swap. What would we do without you? Laughing out loud. Well, you're welcome, Tucker. And Cheryl says, you have to have a leader that can stand their ground and send them back to have them fixed. Doris O says, sorry about the spelling. She was talking to Diane. Nisima says, I am so glad that this swap was beginner friendly, being that I'm a beginner quilter. I am so happy that I participated in the swap. I will be participating again. Robin says, hello everyone, and Miss T. Hi, Robin. Beverly Seaball says, hi T and all quilters. Hi, Beverly. Eve Michelin says, sorry I missed the swap. We'll look for another one. Peggy says, fee for joining shows your commitment and also compensates the hostess. Well, most of it, like I said, will be spent back into the products that I use for packaging, like shipping and bags and labels, and that stuff isn't expensive. I mean, isn't cheap. And I had people that, just said, send my stuff back. Well, I'm not going to go to the post office and get bags to send your stuff back. And I don't know I guess I do know when I open your block here, that you don't have certain things in, but I don't have time to keep track of who doesn't have a return in there and who doesn't. And really, I almost prefer doing people's total packaging over me repackaging and what they gave me, because it was such a problem when I got to the post office. So I couldn't keep track of which packages had stuff in it when it was that day for me to mail that person's package back. It was just too much to keep track of. Eric says, girl, don't get me started about people following rules. And I do understand that, the majority of us, we kind of hate to follow rules and we like to do our own thing. And that's part of what quilting is about. Part of quilting is there's so many different ways to get to the same end result. But when you're playing with a group of people, you need to at some point learn how to be a member of a team. You got to be a team player at some point in your life. Because I'm like that. I'm kind of a person, I can make a decision and I can keep going. I don't need the team. I'll just make a decision whether it's good or bad. I'm okay with that. And then you meet other people that can't make a decision. You got to kind of help them along, and it's like, just make a decision, will you? But, you got to be able to be a team player to work with both kinds of people. And from what my experience is, when you swap blocks with people, and you got some quilters that are very serious and strict about fabrics in their quilt, how stuff is pieced and done, if it's that type of a swap, and I know that some people are going to be particular, then I've got to reject blocks. And even Kevin and I, we had to sit down and go through stacks. We touched everybody's blocks, because we wanted to make sure that when we gave people blocks, that we gave them the best of your blocks, not those that had mistakes in them, or where we felt like something was a little bit off with the particular block. We wanted to make sure that people got your best work and not just your work, if you understand what I mean. Because all blocks were not created equal in this, even between the people who made them. Everybody's blocks weren't cohesive, weren't the same from block to block. So we wanted to make sure, since we didn't have the total number of people to send out, that we could send out your best work, because that's representing you. We wanted to make sure you were represented accordingly. Let's see. Angela says, I will make pillows out of mine. I'm going to send them to you so you can sell them on your website and we can split the profits. She's so funny. You got people name on them, girl. And she talking about just kidding. Cheryl says, it was great. One of the best swaps I had participated in. And I loved it. All the color, I love color. So all the color in these blocks, I was just having a ball with all the color. Probably drove Kevin nuts, because Kevin's more of a monotone type person. If he's making a red block, then he tends to make red blocks. But he also knew that this was different, that we wanted them to be very colorful. So I enjoyed looking at every block, to be honest. It just took a lot of time. Beverly says, I'm thinking of a red quilt from my blocks. What do you all think? I think that'd be really cool. The black fabric should ravel up pretty nice if you just put black to black. Phyllis says, great lecture on block swaps and accountability. Thank you, T. So you're so welcome, Phyllis. Beverly says, and thanks, Miss T, for my surprise in my blocks. You're welcome. When they're talking about surprises and gifts and things, I put a Teaquilts pen that I ordered, and just put into everybody's package for thanking them for participating. I didn't put a note or anything in there. And sometimes your pen got hidden depending on how your packaging was set up. So if you don't think you got a pen, make sure you go unroll your blocks and things like that to make sure you get it. If you also ordered a t-shirt from me, you may have gotten a pen and a pen, a lapel pen and a writing pen, a PIN and a PEN. Let's see. And then I was also combining people's orders that they made with their packaging, except for, I think, Vivian. I couldn't do Vivian's because she had sent her blocks in so early, and I didn't have the stuff that I needed to make her t-shirts early. But everybody else kind of saved money on postage. And even though they had paid me money for mailing their t-shirts, I went back and credited all those people back for the change that was left from me mailing their blocks if I didn't have to pay much more. Most of them only had to pay like an extra $1 put a t-shirt in. So I tried to spend your money how I would spend my money. Dee Dee says, what constituted? Oh, wait a minute, I've missed somebody. Eric says, laughing out loud, T, remember, open a window and find the paper clip. Open a window and find the paper clip. I'm lost. I'm lost. I'm blocking something right now. Dee Dee, Peggy says, yes, I think you. Thank you, T. Great job. You're welcome, Peggy. Appreciate that. Dee Dee says, what constituted best blocks? When I say best blocks, sometimes people, like when they first were starting out, maybe blocks may not have been, like when you're making a block, I'm just going to get a pineapple block, but this is not what happened. I'm just going to use this as an example because it's here. Say you were putting this half square triangle on this corner, but it was up here, over here, but then over here, it stopped right here. But it was hanging up high over here. At first, when we first started swapping, we were just putting blocks into piles, and we really weren't paying attention. And then it got obvious that some people were like new quilters. And I think as you're making blocks, you get better and better at it, or maybe they had never done crumb piecing or something like that. So it makes a big difference when you first start something. And by the time you make 50 blocks or something, you're getting pretty good at it toward the end. And so we realized that there were certain blocks, like some people had good black fabric for their frames, and then maybe they ran out. If you all remember, there was a crisis on buying black fabric. And so then we felt like some fabrics were better quality than other fabrics that they use. So we tended to give those better quality fabrics out first and then go to the other ones if we had to. So that's what I mean about best blocks, presenting the best blocks to the people that participated in the swap. So that was Dee Dee. Diane says, I loved all the blocks I got. Thank you all. You're so welcome, Diane. Vivian Calvi says, I do know doing the block swap. I do, you know, doing the block swap. Enjoy all the blocks in my gift. Thank you so much. Vivian, I think she's just basically saying thanks for doing the block swap, and she appreciates the gift, and she enjoys all of her blocks. I think we have these corrective things happening with our phones, and they make us sound like we don't know English, but we do. Dee Dee says, I'm putting my blocks with crumb sashing and black cornerstones and on point. I can use my extra blocks for the half ones on the edge. That's pretty cool. Cheryl says, hey T, hey Quilt family. Hi Cheryl, welcome. June says, thanks for the lovely blocks. I don't have any of the fabrics I received. It took me a long time to see a repeat fabric, but I finally started seeing a few, but not like an excessive amount. That's why I like swaps as well, because different areas of the, you know, different quilt shops, when you got people ordering fabric, they're basically ordering what they think will sell in their area. Let's see. Phyllis says, thank you all. Enjoy looking at your blocks. We'll sew together soon. I haven't even had time to pull mine out. I've been quilting and meeting with people. I got another new quilter that I'm quilting for. Diane says, thanks T, my hubby wants a pen for going to the post office. You better give him your pen. You gotta give him your pen, Diane. Remo says, good night, everyone. Bye, Remo. Vivian says, thank you for helping me out. Thank you for helping me. I don't know if she's talking to me or somebody else. Is it to me? That's what I'm here for, is to help people. So if people are sending me emails or asking me questions, I do try to help people if I can. Cheryl's telling Bev to take care. I guess Bev had to go. Slowing down Joe is saying good night. Cheryl says, thank you for including a pen with my order. T-Swag. Yes. Yes, indeed. And yeah. So it's a little bit after 8. If you all got any other questions, I know I didn't get a chance to read a lot of the personal stuff, but I know that if I had gone all the way back up from when I started, I stopped at about 7:12, I'll still be here reading all of that stuff now. So I just didn't want to go all the way back up. And I do know that you all read each other's comments, so you all at least got to communicate what it was that you all wanted to communicate. And maybe, I'm hoping, it's weird how sometimes YouTube will give the chat comments and then sometimes they don't. So if I go back and watch, I'm only gonna watch it if I can see the chat comments, because I missed a lot of the chat tonight. So let's see. And Cheryl is talking to Diane 57. So it sounds like we're through with the swap. Through with the chat anyway, the live chat. If anybody else got anything you want to ask, any questions from my new quilters, this was just one of those weird topics to come in on. I kind of avoided doing a block swap topic because it's one of those things that, you know, some people agree with and other people do not. And I already know that. And so, you know, but when you have people joining swaps and some people feel like, I use this type of fabric and this is the type of fabric I got back, and you know, so you know, people can get a little upset about being in block swaps at the end. Not everybody is upset, but some people are upset. So you got to keep all of that in mind, and you also got to keep that in mind when you swap, that sometimes you may not get back the same quality because maybe something slipped past me. You got to remember, on this swap, I touched over 2,000 blocks because people, even though I had 39 people, I still had 2,000 blocks because some people sent over the 50. Some people sent 54, 55, 52, 53. By the time you get through all of that, I had another extra 50 blocks that I was touching. So it was a long day. Kevin and I were tired toward the end, but we had a good time though. But you know, I might miss something. So, but I still, you know, I get emails when, you know, when it's my mistake, and I'm okay with owning up to that and knowing that I'm only human and that it's one person. And this time Kevin helped me, so it was like 2 people trying to police your block, you know, that you get back, so to say, trying to make sure you got back something positive, you know. So we're gonna go ahead and end here because I don't see any anything else that we need to talk about. A lot of y'all are saying good night. Well, that's pretty cool. That's why I like this group. You get to meet people personally. I see where Diane and Cheryl are gonna meet. I've met Diane and her husband a couple of times at a Paducah quilt show. I've met some people at, not the Paducah quilt show, the Houston quilt show. I've met some of you all at the Houston quilt show as well. So that's one thing I like about YouTube groups. You can eventually meet somebody at a quilt show somewhere. I've met quite a few people in Paducah at the quilt shows, but I can't remember their name. They're not the ones that come into the chat for the most part. So I must have, I think Diane hit a comment and I accidentally hit it. This is what happens. It's not giving me the option to hide it. Quilt Gal says a quilt block, some finished, some not done. She told me it was Yellow Brick Road. You talking about this back here is Yellow Brick Road. I don't know if that's what you're asking. Cheryl says, T, thank you for all your advice. Janet says, good night all. Will you be on Saturday? Enjoyed. I do plan to come on Saturday. I do have my friend wants a Minnie Mouse head quilt for her grandbaby that just turned 1. They're going to get her into a twin bed. I had a block in here at some point. Maybe I moved it. I thought I put everything over here, but oh, it's here. It was just hiding. So I had to go onto my embroidery machine. I do not have digitizing software, so I've been trying to make this thing digitize. And you can see I've got this. This was my test block. I've just taken this part out and rounded it out. Because I don't have true digitizing software, I'm trying to make what I got digitized anyway. And it's like, what are you trying to do? And then I took this bow from somewhere else, and then I just used the mini polka dots to make it so that it was a mini bow. So, yeah, but I just was combining circles here to try to make a mini head. But that's what I probably will be working on Saturday, because I need 24 of those embroidered blocks. Either that or more pineapple blocks. But I'll be here Saturday, hopefully. Crystal Cochran is here, says hello to everyone. Hi, Crystal. We're going to be leaving out in a minute. About, I'd say probably 8:20 or so. 8:25 I'll be leaving out. Marie Hutton says, and I use smaller repeat for, can I use a smaller repeat for a stack and whack? You can use like a 12-inch repeat for a stack and whack, but if I were you and you're trying to get like a big size quilt, when I do my repeat, instead of making it just the 12 inches, I would extend it to the next repeat and make that whole thing just one repeat. So you're cutting 24 inches instead of just the 12. But yes, you can. Eric says, people always remember me at the quilt show. So I'm like, yeah, because you're super tall. You see over everybody. My brother's here, says, hey sis, I'm here. Hi. And bye, everyone. Yes, because we're not going to be on here long. I'm just going to read the final comments. Cool Gal says, is it made with only 2 different blocks? Yellow Brick Road? I don't know how many blocks it is. I think it's more than 2. But you can like Google Yellow Brick Road and you can kind of look at the picture of the quilt where it's completely open. But it's more than 2 blocks if I'm not mistaken. Robin says it's cute. Thank you, Robin. E. Michelin says, T, just a point of interest. I just learned to make the little 4 patch on the back where the lines intersect. And isn't that cool? Sometimes when I don't want my seams pressed open, it's nice to have that little spinning thing on the back. And then it is cute to have that little 4 patch open up. I think Eleanor Burns was the one that came up. Well, she made it popular. I don't know if she came up with it, but she made it popular. Kelly A says, just got home from work and errands, so I missed most of the live. But the title of it and what T has been saying the past 5 minutes has me curious to watch the replay. Make sure you start at the beginning. Because I specifically said this is one of those topics I purposely skipped. And I had never mentioned swaps to you all. And Kevin came in here and mentioned swaps. So, good night, Helen. Just want to make sure I read everybody's comments. People are saying good night. Marie says thank you. You're so welcome. Cool Guest says thanks. My friend lied to me, laughing out loud. It's more than 2 blocks. I see 3 blocks at least, so it's more than 2. And there just might be another quilt that's very similar to this that only used 2 blocks. That could be it too. Robin says, I just got home from work too. Jennifer Mazard saying, me too, Kelly. Let's see, what else? I'm trying to get to the last comment, guys. Marie says, I cut it small, but I'm going to use the other half using 2 repeats. Yeah. So because when you cut your yardage in half, you're then cutting your repeat off of half the yardage, so you've already cut that repeat. So on the other side, if you're planning on using it to make more blocks, then yeah, so instead of cutting, if it's 12 inches, you're going to cut it 24. And then you have But you got to make sure that if you're cutting at 24, that you've got, instead of 6, you've got 12 of those smaller repeats, because you still need the same number of, you need the 6 repeats to stack. You know what I'm saying? So when I say if my repeat is 24 inches, I multiply 24 inches by 6, because I need 6 repeats. Or if I need 8, then I'll multiply it by 8 if I need a block that's going to be 8 repeats. And then that tells me how much yardage I need as a minimum. And then I always get more fabric than what I need, so I can have playroom. I hope I'm clarifying that. Phyllis is saying good night, stay safe. Good night. Robin says, were there problems by the way you are talking? Was there problems by the way you're talking? I think some of the fabrics were suspect in a couple of and I even got some that have like a thin black fabric, but I think that was because people had to start pulling from their stashes, because the black fabric became very limited in supply, because people started making masks with the black fabric. So yeah, I would say it was a couple of issues with the swap. I'm live on Saturdays at 9 p.m. I go later on Saturdays so that my West Coast people can have a reasonable time to look at me. So I normally go from 9 to 11, and I'm actually sewing on Saturdays, not just doing lecture talk for the most part. And I've just been doing that since the pandemic started. That wasn't one of my regular nights to go live. Susan Martin here said, I learned so much tonight. Thank you, Miss T. You're welcome. Jody Barrows from Square in a Square shows the easiest way. She's talking about where you do the 4 patch. Cool Girl says, I'm thinking it might be a rail fence. That is funny. Susan says, the blocks you showed tonight were delightful. They tickled my soul. And the reason why I wanted to show you like 3 different types of swaps that I did was because, all the time it doesn't have to be a traditional piece block for a swap. I just want you to know that sometimes you can make them so that the blocks are fun. You can make snowman blocks, or if you want to do a Halloween quilt, you can do Halloween type blocks. They don't have to be all just a piece block in order to do a swap and have it be fun. Because I think some of the, like doing flowers or, some of the other things, I think they make them fun. It could be just make a block that's a star, all different star blocks. And then, you're not dealing with just one type of a block. So that'll make a nice, interesting sampler quilt. So I just wanted you to keep your to open your eyes to the types of swaps that it could be, and you can see what I got back. The only thing on the flower swap we had was that it had to be a flower, and the block had to finish at 12.5 inches, and if you used applique, you couldn't have raw edge applique. That was it for the most part. Eric says black fabric was a hot commodity. Yes, it was. They could have sold black fabric for like $50 a yard. Marie says, I like your yellow brick road in the back hanging up. Thank you so much. Cheryl says, when I ran out of black Kona, I had to order again, and you were lucky to get it. Some people got away by ordering Moda jelly roll strips, because you know how they have the all solids and stuff. So that came in really handy. Then they didn't even have to cut it, so that was really cool. Robin says, wow, you do so much and are such a beautiful person. Thank you, Robin. Appreciate that. I try to be fair. I'll do the hard stuff when it's time to do the hard stuff. But part of me is that I always try to be fair. And that's my first thing I always try, is to be fair. Diane says, Eric, black fabric still is a high commodity. Oh, my God. Yeah, you are right, Diane, because I went to the quilt shop to buy the fabric for the Mickey mini quilt, because I don't have white with black with polka dots, or white with polka dots, and I had to get black with the white polka dots and red with the white polka dots for this project, because she showed me a picture of a quilt that somebody made, but they didn't make them any bigger, and she needs it for a twin bed, and it was a baby quilt, so that's why she wants me to make it. And I'm just probably end up gonna just make it for her because she's a friend. I've known her for since my daughter was in what, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, something like that. So I'll do it for, she'll just pay me for the supplies that I have to buy. So, but yeah, you know, I went in that store, they didn't have black solid anything in there, and even black tone on tone was out. It always had something that you could see in the black. When I went to Jackman's on Monday. So you're right, it's still a commodity. So that's going to be it, guys. We're going to go ahead and end here. Thank you all so much. I hope you all understand where I was coming from tonight. I'm not trying to pick on any one thing, but just trying to let people know, you know, when you do swap, some of the things that you may be expected, and you may be one of those people that I may send your blocks back to, and I want you to understand why. But I didn't go into that when we first did the swap on purpose, because I didn't want to do this topic before somebody participated. I wanted you to see what you would get back and stuff like that. Like I said, I got a couple blocks myself that I'm not going to use the black fabric. I'm going to take them off and use my own. So, and I'm not upset. I understand why they used that fabric, because black, they couldn't get any more black. I could tell it was old fabric. It was very thin. But I swapped those out. I like the block on the inside. All the inside fabrics were 100% quilt shop quality, as a matter of fact. But, you know, they had to do what they had to do on the back end to keep up their commitment with participating in the swap. So I fully understand, you know. I'm not upset by it. I just know that it's not going to go in my quilt. So, but I appreciate you all. It's everything. I look at everything as a learning experience. Even Kevin learned a lot because he had never participated in a swap as a hostess before. So everything to me is a learning experience, and you use it as you go forward in life. That's all that you can do. So Kelly saying, well, even though I missed most of the live, let me say thank you, Miss T and Kevin. You put a lot of work into the block swap, prep, instructions, videos, and final sort. All appreciated. You're so welcome. And Robin is saying I appreciate you too as well. So just good night. We're going to come back next week. We ain't talking about swaps no more. And when we do another swap, we will have some of these rules will be embedded into the swaps. Probably most of these rules will be embedded into the swap, so that I don't get emails from people. Okay? So talk to you all later. You all stay safe and stay blessed, everybody. Good night. And Diane saying good night to my brother Ray. I don't know if he saw it or not. June says, thanks, T. Very informative. Take care and stay safe, everybody. Bye.